Hello. Okay, so we will officially start this meeting for the Commission for the Arts at 5:01. So happy to see you all here. Thank you for being here, and to the Commission as well, and to Administrator Murphy and the Secretary. So we will do roll call.
Let the record show all commissioners are present except Commissioner Kadakia, who is absent.
Thank you. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, we are so excited to have Christiane Kerner of the New Village Arts Theater in Carlsbad here to present to us and engage. Yeah, I'll just turn it right over, unless, Jim, you want to do any sort of introduction beyond that.
No, I'll just say, likewise, so happy to have Christiane here. We've known each other for quite a while, and I've been amazed by the work she's done with New Village Arts. It's been a privilege to see it from, I think, almost the inception, working in makeshift spaces to moving into this great space in Carlsbad. And I don't want to preempt your presentation, but, you know, I mentioned in this, part of the timing of this is that we have an agenda item later about the theater pad in Encinitas. And I mentioned in our proposed letter that NVA has, according to a recent story in KPBS, attracts more than 30,000 patrons a year now and provides $2.6 million annually in economic impact to the area. So sorry if that's already in your presentation. Feel free to repeat, but love to hear about that impact and how the theater started and what it's done for the community. So.
Wonderful. Yeah, so thank you all so much for having me here today. As Jim mentioned, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and about the founding of New Village Arts, and then I will talk about our partnership with the city and the importance of having a theater and an arts center in the heart of your community. And then I'm also happy to answer any questions or make any clarifications that I can as we go. So I am Christiane Kerner. I'm the founder and executive artistic director of New Village Arts. I got my master's degree in acting from the Actors Studio Drama School in New York, and I have been running New Village Arts for 23 years now. I was the kid in the neighborhood inviting you to the show I wrote, directed, and was starring in my backyard. I always had a vision of running a small professional theater company, and so to actually be able to make New Village Arts a reality has definitely been a dream come true for me. Actually founded New Village Arts in 2001. Our first production was in the Granary at McGee Park, which is a converted chicken coop in a city-owned building, a very small building. We did a site-specific play. And from there, didn't quite know where we were going next and met the women who run Jazzercise. And we actually spent the next 5 years in the corporate headquarters of Jazzercise, taking their studio space and transforming it into a theater. What that allowed us to do was to really build our reputation amongst the critics, amongst the community, and amongst the city of Carlsbad as a real quality arts organization that could continue to grow and expand. In June of 2006, around then, we were voted into the former Bauer Lumber Company building in the heart of Carlsbad Village. This is a beautiful old building, in one of the oldest in Carlsbad, which means it was built in the 1940s. It was a building that from the moment I first saw it, I knew should be a theater. I actually applied for it 3 different times. And in 2007, we opened our first production there in the heart of Carlsbad Village. And since then, we have been there. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. But we did recently complete a major renovation of our building so that it looks as beautiful on the outside as the work we're doing on the inside. And we're very proud to have renamed it upon reopening the Dia Hurston New Village Arts Center, becoming the first art center in the United States outside of New York City to be named in honor of a Black woman. And we take that responsibility very seriously, and we're very proud. Dia Hurston was an amazing proponent for the arts in San Diego. So a little bit about our partnership with the city of Carlsbad. We're very proud of the long partnership that we have had with the city, who has recognized the importance of having arts for a healthy community. They've been supporting the work of New Village Arts with $1 a year lease on our building. So the building that we're in the heart of Carlsbad Village, they charge us $1 a year to use, and we have shared responsibility of the building. In the beginning of that relationship, it was always very short-term leases. It was like a 3 to 5 year lease. We never quite knew how long we would be there. And so in July of 2021, we were able to make a longer-term lease with the city and a construction agreement so we could make this renovation happen and turn our rather dilapidated building into a really beautiful community gathering space around the arts. We now have a 20-year lease. It's a 10-year lease with 2 5-year extensions. And as I mentioned, the city is responsible for the exterior of the building, and New Village Arts is responsible for everything inside. So that's kind of how we work that out. The renovation happened over 2021 and 2022. Not the best time to do a renovation. It started as a $2.3 million project, ended up about a $4 million project, some of which we are still paying off. But because of the COVID, because of inflation, and because of the age of the building, it ended up being much more than we had originally anticipated. The partnership with the city and New Village Arts has been so important to us, but it is not without its challenges. It definitely takes a lot of care, communication, and compromise to make it happen, but the payoff is pretty extraordinary. We've done over 130 professional theatrical productions in the city of Carlsbad. And you think about how many people have we impacted through that time, it's pretty amazing. So we're very proud of being able to be there and being able to be there with the support of the city. I'm going to say a little bit about the general impact of arts in a community, which I know most of you know, being an arts commission. But important to remember that nonprofit arts and cultural organizations are businesses. We employ people locally. We purchase goods and services from within the community, and we're members of our local chambers of commerce. I'm on the board of the Carlsbad Chamber, and we attract tourists to our regions. The arts drive commerce to local businesses. So when somebody goes to attend a show, they spend on average an extra $31.47 on things outside of the performance. So not including going to see the show and anything that happens at the show. This is people going to restaurants, to bars, to, face it, in Carlsbad Village, Handel's ice cream. Probably spend that there. But this becomes really vital income for local businesses as well. Arts travelers are ideal tourists. They stay longer, they spend more to seek out authentic cultural experiences. 1/3 of attendees travel from outside of the county in which the activity takes place, and they spend an average of $48 per person in addition to their tickets. So the arts take small investments and bring big returns. In 2017 in the U.S., the combined $5 billion in direct arts funding by local, state, and federal governments yielded $27.5 billion in government revenue. So you can see a real direct economic impact from having the arts in a community. For New Village Arts, we also recognize KPBS overestimated our economic impact a little bit, but we currently have about $1.2 million of economic impact to Carlsbad Village every year. And again, that's not ticket sales or funds spent while they're at NVA. That's funds spent in other organizations around the community. Since arriving in the village in 2007, over $10 million of economic impact. We anticipate at least $15 million over the next 10 years, $35 million over the next 25 years. The growth of Carlsbad Village from 2007 to 2024 is pretty extraordinary. I don't know how many of you have been around that long, but back in 2007, it was a lot of antique stores and bars and not much else. And now we have this vibrant, healthy community where the biggest complaint is that you could no longer find parking because there is so much happening all the time. I know that New Village Arts was a big part in making that possible. When you bring 20 to 30,000 people into the village who want to have that full experience, you're going to make that kind of impact. The other side of impact that's really important is the cultural and social side. We really strove and we have created a welcoming space that honors a diversity of artistic experiences for all members of our community. We have invested in our arts education programs. We're in the schools. We have fantastic programs for teens and young adults with neurodiversity. We have healthy aging programs. We have a senior choir. We have a special program, an improvisation program for seniors with Alzheimer's and dementia. And we have the Dear Hurston Fellowship, which creates opportunities in the arts for previously underserved members of our community. We're recognized as one of the most truly diverse organizations in San Diego, which is really important in coastal North County, San Diego. So we're very proud of the work that we do, the people that we hire, the stories that we choose to tell. You have to have arts for a healthy community, and having a theater and art center in the heart of your community, quite honestly, makes a community better. And I'm going to just kind of finish off here with a quote that I heard recently from LeVar Burton, who is famous for Reading Rainbow and many, many other things. He recently was awarded a medal from the National Endowment of Humanities. And he said this, he said, "The arts and humanities are the underpinnings of civilization. Without them, we don't know who we are, where we've been. They give context for where we are going. All of our hopes, all of our dreams, all of our ambitions, they are all contained in these disciplines. Without them, we're lost. Humanity is meant to thrive and flourish, and that doesn't happen without context. And the arts and humanities, they are our vessel for context." New Village Arts has been so proud to provide that vessel of context for over 23 years in the city of Carlsbad. And I hope Encinitas gets its own, because it's pretty fantastic to be able to have right in your community. So that's what I prepared to share with you. Like I said, I'm very happy to answer any questions or give any clarification on how we are doing what we're doing.
Thank you so much, Christiane. That was great. And even though I've seen a lot of the history, there's quite a bit I learned there. One question that I had, because your situation coming into that space, as kind of dilapidated as it was initially, there was an existing building, whereas here we have a piece of land, basically. And I haven't been privy to exactly why, something like 5 theater companies have tried and failed over the years to not be able to make a theater happen. But I think part of that certainly has been, from what I understand, coming up with money up front to help fund the creation of the space. And I wondered, were you required when you, I don't remember how this worked, were you required when you moved into that space to also come in with funding in order for the city to agree to have you be tenants there? Or
No, we didn't have an agreement like that. We did agree that we would take care of the renovation to transform the building into a theater.
Okay.
So at that time, back in 2006, 2007, I think we raised, I think it was $275,000 to do the renovation of the space, but we were responsible for that renovation in full.
Okay, yeah. So they were sounds as though they wanted to make this happen. And
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it also depends on, what you can do in the space that you have. I know the location that you've been, because I followed this over the years for sure, and heard and met with many theater companies who are interested in taking over that space.
Right.
It's what can the space look like as well.
Right.
I think it's Coronado Playhouse that built their space in a tent. right, for a while at least. And I know during COVID, we moved out to the flower fields,
Right.
and created
That's
an
fun.
outdoor venue so that we could adjust and keep doing our mission during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But that may be a big part of it is, that is a big shopping center. And then if you have to build a whole facility within that can be overwhelming
Yeah.
for depending on the size of the company and the funding that is available behind it.
Right. And it seems as though that space was kind of the right space for your company. Not too big, not too small, and in a great location. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I forgot to mention, too, my dad's family moved to Carlsbad 75 years ago. So that was also a reason for me for coming to Carlsbad. I never actually lived there, but it was where I would come for family vacations and everything. And so we have had this kind of great understanding of the history of Carlsbad and had hoped that it would be a place that could support the arts this way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you, off the top of your mind, have any companies that you could imagine could take on a project this size in Encinitas that you think would be interested or incapable?
I know that there are a number of companies out there who are looking for space. That's something that you hear a lot, is that there's not enough space to do the work that they want to be able to do. But I would imagine it's building the space that is the challenge, because it's not cheap, as we know, as we just learned firsthand with the renovation, especially in today's day and age, that costs a lot to be able to actually build the space. So that, I think, might be one of the barriers, but I will say that there are a number of really exciting, really creative organizations and people out there who could probably take it and run with it if they had the funding and or the building to make it possible.
Just to follow up, I guess the other big piece of that is patrons, arts patrons. And did you cultivate relationships really early on that kind of helped you establish, have resources to be able to do what you wanted to do?
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
any nonprofits arts organization, we like to say 50% earned revenue and 50% contributed. But when you're doing something like that, it's more like 75% contributed revenue and 25% earned, because you have to have that community support and those philanthropists and people who are willing to help you along the way. So making sure that you have that kind of base of support is crucial. And that's why we were so gifted by having the time at Jazzercise.
Yeah.
Because we were able to do our work, find the people who were excited about our work, and find the people who believed in our work. And it was definitely at Jazzercise where we found the people who helped us pay for the renovations in Carlsbad Village.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Are there any more questions? I think we should start to wrap up. We have a full agenda, and we're so happy for this to be part of it. No. Okay.
All right.
Well, yeah, we so appreciate all of that information, and it's really great to have it on our radar a little bit more concretely. So
Great.
appreciate your time.
You've just inaugurated our speaker series, so
I
congratulations.
am very honored.
Right.
Thank you all. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so moving on to action item 5, oral communications. I know we have 2 speakers. Are there more than that?
There are no speakers for oral communications, but we do have 2 speakers that
Oh,
want
right.
to speak to an agenda item.
Perfect.
8A.
Thank you. We'll move on to number 6, changes to the agenda. Considering that Christiane is here, she just spoke, and we punted on this commissioner-initiated item 6 months ago, I'd like to move 10A to 8 to now, after the approval of the minutes, so that we can address that letter. And then we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion? Has everyone read the minutes, and is there a motion to approve?
I noticed that there were 2 typos, and I don't know if there's if that would affect that for the minutes.
Like spelling typo? Do
Sure.
they make
I noticed very small, but the word plan missed the letter N, And also, it's spelled ofrenda, not ofrenda. So that was a misspelling.
Okay, great. Perhaps we can put a motion, I'll put a motion forward to approve the minutes with those two corrections. Okay. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
The motion passes with all commissioners voting yes, except Commissioner Kadakia, who is absent.
Thank you. So we will move on to item 10A. And I recognize that everyone is here. I'm really excited to speak on these other topics. So I encourage us all to keep this concise. There is an attachment, a letter that Jim has prepared. Where is that? Uh-huh. So I think, has everyone had a chance to read that? And is there any discussion about whether we want to send it?
I would need to amend the numbers per Christian's update from KPBS on the because that's mentioned in the letter. But if anybody has any suggested changes beyond that, happy to entertain them.
No changes for me.
Okay.
I would say move to submit this letter with your changes to the dollar amounts provided.
Yeah, I can second that.
Great.
Can you repeat who made the first motion? That was Fedor.
Robin Fader.
My computer is frozen. It's just on the agenda report. I don't have any voting ability, but I can do it verbally.
Chair Fox, just a point of order on new information we've received on procedure for submitting those letters is that the chair will send to me and I will blind copy council and then include you so you know that it's been sent.
Okay. Where does that come from? As opposed to us emailing ourselves?
Just procedure. I mean, if you wanted to send it yourself, send it yourself. But as a council, a city council, going through your staff liaison, just make sure that it gets blind copied, so each council person gets it separate instead of concerns
Okay.
of the path.
Fantastic. Thank you. And what you, Colette, you said that was how do I identify that? You said it was there was a number attached to it when you
Say that one more time.
when you just shared that information. I thought you said it was number something.
It was just a point of order,
Oh, just point of order. Got it.
just a procedural item.
Oh, no. It just said that I abstained, but I did not want to do that. So that's okay. Jim can send it to me and I send it to you. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Let the record show that the motion passes with all commissioners voting yes, except Commissioner Kadakia, who is absent.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, for the support on that.
So we'll move on to action item 8A, the public art sculpture loan recommendations. And now I know we do have two speakers.
Katie? I will recuse myself at this point.
Thank you. And Commissioner Romer will recuse herself during this portion of our discussion, of our meeting.
The first speaker to speak to agenda item 8A1 is Diane Lance, and she's speaking in opposition to the recommended action. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Hi, my name is Diane Lance, and I live in the neighborhood adjacent to Leucadia Oaks Park. I looked at the recent, the two sculptures that are currently being considered for that park. They're both fine sculptures. I just don't think that's the right location for either one. The Rock Man or whatever, I know he's concrete and all kinds of things. I don't think he's going to stand out at all. There's already some large boulders in the park. I think he'll just blend in and be pretty much not noticeable. The hammerhead shark with the person riding it, I think it's also a very nice sculpture, but I don't think it's in the right location either. For one thing, it's very tall, and there's trees in that area, and I just don't think it's going to stand out. I'd like you to consider instead, and it doesn't have to be that one, but the very colorful one that is proposed for, was it Sun Vista Park, would be much more visible in that location. I think it would have a lot more impact visually on the area than either of the two proposed sculptures for Leucadia Oaks Park. I also think the one with the shark and the little cherub or whatever it is would be a great sculpture down at Moonlight. That would be a perfect place for it. But I just think, in my opinion, both sculptures that are currently proposed, I don't think are the best sculptures that you could have for that location. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming and thanks for the comments.
The second speaker we have speaking to agenda item 8A1 is Kathleen Lees. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Thank you. I love this about this. Oh, it's not working. My name is Kathleen Lees. I used to be on the Arts Commission, and I'm really glad I saw this in the paper today, because I start with telling you that I have 40 plus years placing art. That was what I did in the arts business. I was in the arts business, selling art, finding the right place, the right piece for the right place. And I usually worked for the client, not the artist. So I was out looking for the art. And that is the best way to select a good piece for the art. Just because somebody offers it to you, there's no obligation for you to take it. Your obligation is to make sure that your client, who you're representing here, is the city of Encinitas. And that's, you need to make sure that they're getting the very best. And personally, I can't tell. I haven't seen any of these three pieces, so I can't attest to the quality or the durability, the integrity of the pieces. But just visually, subject matter, and looking at the pictures of them, I don't think either dolphin or rockman are appropriate for a public park. As part of our guidelines for what we can accept to even show in City Hall or the library on public art displays, it says no nudity. And I don't even hear that being discussed. I mean, it's a baby and everything, but still I just think neither one of them is right for a park location. And I would just say no. The place in Leucadia Oaks Park has been empty for the 20 plus years it's been a park. When this whole idea came up of putting it in the park, They went to Lucadia, this is before I was on the commission, they went to Lucadia Oaks Park and said, oh gee, what is this over here in the corner? And then they found out that it was supposed to be an art pedestal for a piece of art. So they had to replace the pedestal because it didn't conform to the new configuration. But it's just that it's been there, it's better empty than it is putting something that you don't like. And Lucadia Encinitas has a wonderful reputation for good art. We're not just showing like cute little public art or somebody's idea or something that was donated to the city. We have good, beautiful, quality art. And the artists have in the case of Jeffrey Laudenslager's piece, the artist practically gave that piece to us. So, and we were raising money to pay for it, but he practically gave it to us. So let me check and make sure I've got purpose. Yeah, art has a purpose, and it deserves to get a piece that really suits it and serves the purpose of saying this is the community. And also the art deserves to be in a place where it looks good and
Thank
it does
you.
its job. It represents what it's supposed to represent. And I don't think either
Thanks,
one.
Kathleen, so much.
Yes.
We very much appreciate your input and your years of expertise. I didn't know there was a look for an art commissioner. I think she has to, yeah. Okay, so we will continue. So now it is up to us. We have received the results of the public survey for these two sites, Site C and Site D, Lucadia Oaks Park and Sun Vista. And the background has been put into a report by staff. Again, as we know, these were left empty after City Council decided to not take the recommendation for those two sites. And so now the staff implemented an operational decision to plan to make an expedited process to fill these two sites. And so a call for artists went out. Everything was shortened. The call was out for a short amount of time. The jury, the survey was out for a short amount of time. We did our best. Staff did a great job, the commission as well. I think with all of these processes, they can always get better, and we're looking into that's a separate topic. We are kind of refreshing the program as a whole for the next full round of sculptures that go out. But for now, we are using what we have, which also has some good qualities. And tonight we decide what to make as a recommendation to council for these two sites. So I think the simplest way to do this is just to go down the line and have each commissioner make a statement and talk a little bit about what you think as far as the public survey and any other important input as far as the background, the goal of filling these two sites, the knowledge that each piece will be up for 2 years, and it's a loan program, so it's revolving. Almost every district in the city, the 6 sites, has a piece, and then it will be up for a while, and then it will shift, which gives, I feel, a little bit more leeway to to the program as a whole. So I'll hand it over. Jim, do you want to start off?
Sure, I'll wade into this. So first of all, I think it goes without saying the public survey results are pretty resounding, or at least pretty clear. And a big part of our discussion last time, as I recall, was how much weight do we put into the public's, we took the trouble of putting the survey out there, and it felt as though we ought to really take that seriously, take those numbers seriously, and take the people's opinions seriously. And in the cases of putting sculpture option, let me see here. I just want to make sure I use the right terminology. Well, the shark, I think it's a shark, not a dolphin. But putting that on Site D had a lot of favorability in the survey. Putting the other piece at Site C, the colorful piece near OPE at the park there, got very favorable ratings. And I will just say about the shark piece, I think the whimsy of it is, not inappropriate. Also, it's, near the ocean. And, I can see how it could be polarizing. I think back to when the kook went in, and it's still polarizing, but it's become embraced, I think. So I'm happy to obviously hear a conversation about this, but and I appreciate differing viewpoints, but I feel as though I am in line with what the survey results recommend for those two sites. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Fator?
Yeah, I would agree with what your sentiments. I think that the survey results show that the public is pretty positive about at least two of the sculptures that were submitted for this loan program. I think each of them are, the top rated ones are both playful, they have that sense of whimsy. I think they are appropriate for the pedestals, given that they are, somewhat taller, not short to the ground. They present less of a tripping hazard that way, just from a kind of practical standpoint. And I was encouraged to see that the public was more excited about those two pieces. And I think in the interest of the sculpture loan program and keeping it going and keeping the intention of rotating out sculptures every couple of years, I think we should definitely accept the recommendations tonight and move the process forward.
Thank you. Commissioner Campbell?
Thank you. I think that the public's comments overall for two of the sculptures were very positive, but I also do think that there may have been, which I saw, people on social media trying to campaign for specific sculptures. So I don't know if that has been weighted into the averages, and I don't know if we've got one person that kind of said a lot of bad things about our Hermes, or if that's a general consensus of the city. I think Hermes is really cute, and I really like him. I do think he won't stand out as much, but I think for Leucadia Arts, I would like Hermes. I also do like Hammerhead, and I am not concerned about the nudity because I don't see anything offensive coming from the bottom, looking up at a baby. So my vote would be either one, although I would prefer Hermes for Leucadia Park. And I think we are spot on with the colorful sculpture for Sun Vista, although the pedestal is somewhat blocking of the sign of the Sun Vista sign. So I think that that's an issue of the placement, but that's above and beyond the discussion that we have right here. So I would be in favor of discussing between the arts commissioners, which one of the sculptures would be more appropriate for Leucadia Park, but I would approve either one of them.
Thank you. Commissioner Marakovitz?
I was just wondering if I could first have a clarification of the process, and looking at the documents, and and the initial, I can't remember the initial process, but looking at the documents, it shows that there's like 4 standards: connect to community, complements location, engage public, and sense of community. And each of the artists commented about that. I was wondering, just to jog my memory, if when the survey was initially administered, if the prompts were based on those criteria, or was it a straight, do you recommend this piece or not? So I was wondering, maybe staff could clarify that for me, please. Thanks.
Is the question about whether this was involved in the jury process or whether this was included for the public to be able to reference in the survey?
Reference in the public survey.
The link to it was, yes.
So in other words, to clarify, because it's been a while since the survey was up. If the survey were open right now and we looked at it, were the questions set like, for example, does this art connect to community? And then an answer, or rate your opinion if this artwork connects to community, and the answer. And then second one would be rate your opinion if this complements the location.
It didn't. No, that was not how it was done.
So was it just do you recommend this, yes or not, yes or no? But it was like there were 5 stars.
Let me hop in here. So this the jury rubric. The jury received these. This is the same rubric that went out for the 4 sculptures that are already placed. The commission is presently, an ad hoc is presently working on the refresh of the program, which includes a new rubric and includes a new survey. And I encourage everyone who's here to come to our next meeting, hopefully, is when we're going to present about that to put forth to City Council. But I think what we're working at tonight is what has been in place, and the rubric went out. I would say there's some challenges with the survey, but it still did collect some information. So
do you understand my question?
I guess I think I understand your question.
I'll summarize in one sentence. I would just did the survey? I'll just whittle it down very much. Did the survey just say, do you recommend such and such artwork? And with the 5-point scale, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. That's all I want to find out.
Okay.
Yeah. So to continue that, because the reason why I asked that is because then it makes it very subjective, and then when we see the document and then we see all the comments. There's a lot of different comments, a lot of different, varying opinions, and that's what's going to happen if you put a survey together that's mostly subjective, because everyone's going to have an opinion. So that's why I think it's important to consider in the future to identify the criteria and the standards so that people are able to make a judgment or based on a standard. So with that said, I looked at what we have. Wingmen having 4.5 at Sun Vista, and Neptune Jr. at Leucadia. Listening to the speakers, I would have to say that I agree. A little hesitancy. My kids are all grown up now, but if I took my kids to the park, they'd be like, they might be wondering when they were little, So just might be concerned about Neptune Jr. at Leucadia because it's a fun park. But that's where I stand with that. I'd say totally Wingman seems to be winging it. But Neptune, I'm a little hesitant about it.
Thank you. So I guess I want to start off my comments by thanking the artists for applying and putting their stuff forward. I think we have such incredible talent here in Encinitas, and we are so lucky that artists have sculptures and want to share them with the community, especially as the program exists now. It's not a huge stipend, and yeah, I was on the jury panel, and I will say there weren't a ton of submissions. The submissions that did not make it to public viewing, for the most part, were because of again, height. I think one of them was 1.5 feet and made out of ceramic. So things like that they just were not viable for either location. Let's see. The sites, I think, in that jury panel, again, Hermes got a lot of positive feedback. Could see it easily in the playground near the skate park. I think, and there was lots of discussion to all of the points on the rubric as far as community engagement. Would it incite discussion? Does it speak to the personality and the history? Say because the boulders from Leucadia, yes. Nonetheless, the hammerhead shark also got a lot, and the height of it, the movement of it, the whimsical nature of it. I do spend a lot of time at that playground with my 5-year-old son and a lot of his friends, and they run all over that park, including the skate park. So there are kids on that park all the time, and anything that moves, and a shark in the sky, I do have to say my little guy would just, I cannot speak for every 5-year-old, but for Sun Vista, the site considerations are that it's seen from the road, from traffic. It is at a major intersection, and then also at a park where there's a playground nearby, a school, playing fields, and so Wingman seems to be the most appropriate as far as actually not having a movement element for potentially distraction for vehicles, is my opinion. There was another sculpture that didn't make it in the jury that was decided not to put forth because it was very, very shiny, reflective metal, and we were afraid that the sun could hit it in certain places and not be safe. So again, I really encourage, I think all of that whole idea that this is a program we are really excited about, and like anything, you kind of do it and then you make it better, and then you do it again, you make it better, and you kind of see what the challenges are, and then you adjust and you keep adjusting. So this was a quick fix. I think we're lucky to have gotten the sculptures that we did. I agree that there's some, we're not getting perfectly scientific data from the surveys and comments, but we are still getting a real sense of public input nonetheless. So that's a long-winded way of saying I would think that I'm going to go with the public comment with the Wingman for Sun Vista and the Hammerhead for Leucadia.
I don't know if you can see it from that end.
No, I don't. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, I noticed that the public art policy of 2005 was added to this segment 8A, and I think it's very relevant to look at. Let me try to pull it up so I can look at it myself. So there it is. Thank you. So this goes back to 2005, and this is like kind of the driving material for, if you look on number 4, it says definitions. The following criterion will be considered in making an analysis and recommendation for public art proposals. So I think that's important to take notice of that, to help drive decisions, because this is a binding document. And with that said, those are the 7 or 8, I can't see, objectives. So I was wondering if the commission should take a look at this, take a look at these, because this is, if we're going to make a recommendation, we have to have an analysis to go with it. And so based on these 10 qualities, how can we do that? How can we do that with what we have?
I think honestly, we come here tonight having read all of those documents, having made decisions and thought about it. We're taking into public comment for people who are here. I've looked deeply into all of the comments that were written for the survey, and I'm okay using the present document and rubric. And my feeling is that we have a chance to inaugurate this program once again, send a recommendation to council, get these 2 sites filled with, there were overwhelming support for these sculptures, and move on, and then say, okay, great, next program, we will again discuss this in length at our next meeting, hopefully our next meeting, and keep going.
I think that these 3 fit the criteria that's
I believe so
listed here.
too.
Yeah, I don't in my mind, there isn't a question that they fit the criteria.
Yeah. I heard there's 5 of us voting, so just a point of clarification. It needs 3 to pass a motion?
That is correct.
Okay. I did hear 3 of us, if not 4 of us, say the same thing. So I don't want to put a kibosh on discussion, but at the same time, I think we're ready to vote. And if it's, does anyone feel differently on that? Besides,
So we haven't clearly identified the 2 pieces for sure here.
I can put a motion together, if
You do need to make a motion.
right. Okay, so
Yeah, I just wanted to say, when Kathleen was speaking, I really take to heart the idea of serving the client, as she put it. And the one thing I didn't mention when we talked earlier was that, to me, the client is the citizenry. And actually, I was kind of impressed. I mean, it's not a huge amount of survey responses, but it's a pretty healthy amount. I mean, I think it's a good sample size. It'd be one thing if there were 10 people who responded and 6 were approving, but that idea of the city and the people who live here being our clients, I think, is something that I take to heart in evaluating this. And I think that's kind of a big part of what guides, how I feel about our what we're going to do about this.
So are we going, would the motion be as a package, both of them, or separate ones?
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion to recommend Wingman for Sun Vista and, I'm so sorry, what is and Neptune Junior for Leucadia Oaks.
You can do it in 2 separate ones if that is your choice, or all as one.
I'm happy to make it all as one.
I'll second the motion.
We can make point of, I guess the motion has been seconded. Point of clarification as far as it moving on to city council, are there any benefits to separating those? They could still accept one or not really? Okay.
No, it doesn't. It would only, it's the commission's preference as to how you wanted to do that.
Okay.
I heard the question asked, so we wanted to make sure you had
Thank
the
you.
answer.
Okay.
Is there a way to let the commission or the council have a choice between, like, to say that we recommend Wingman and Neptune with an alternate of Hermes, so that they could at least have the choice and make that choice themselves?
They're going to receive the same information in the agenda report tonight, so they'll see that, and city council has the latitude
Okay.
to make decisions. So you're going to need to make sure your motion is really clear.
So will the motion that Katie just made allow the council to see both, and they'll be able to pick whatever they want?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
they're going to receive the package that is all the attachments that are in the agenda report that you have. And then in addition, the recommendation that's coming tonight.
Okay.
So the motion I just put forward did recommend those one and one.
Right, that's what I was asking.
Right.
If we needed to say, or as an alternate, just to make sure that they didn't feel that they weren't, that I wasn't taking the Rockman or Hermes off the table, that
No.
that's.
I mean, again, if we make a recommendation, those are the ones we feel are best suited. And again, kind of echoing what James is saying, I don't feel that we are arbiters of the arts here. We are here to make sure that what happens in Encinitas is the best art that we can get and show and participate in and support. And so again, like, I feel very positive about this recommendation because it is supporting this program and getting that first iteration done. And then I'm very excited to move on and make the program even better and more artist friendly and get more and more and let it grow. Okay, so there has been a motion, there has been seconded, so we'll move on to a vote.
Let the record show that the motion passes unanimously with all commissioners voting yes.
Thank you. So we will just move on to 8B, to the Commission Arts Annual Work Plan, and Commissioner Romer will be invited back in. Again, knowing that we have, welcome back. Knowing that we have a lot more still on the agenda tonight, I will move through the work plan for each item. I'm hoping that everyone can keep updates. Obviously, updates can be made however you want to make them, but as concise as possible, especially for those items that don't have any major updates or attachments to them. And with that, we'll just start in at see if there's a update from the Cultural Tourism Committee.
Right. Yeah. In that spirit of brevity, there was no meeting before our meeting. It's this Thursday, so nothing to add.
Thank you. And number 2, any new funds?
I made
Funding opportunities.
one grant recommendation to Colette, and she mentioned that they were already investigating it.
Okay, fantastic. For number 3, commissioners will assist city staff with the promotion of city arts programs. We have Pacific View Art Center. There's no major update for that one, I don't believe.
Could I share maybe a potential idea or something?
Yes.
I was thinking that one way of when there's something new, it's really advantageous to keep highlighting it. So we had the the grand opening back in August, but it might be a great idea to have periodic open houses, like meet the artists, and so to just keep the spirit and the excitement alive.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Is there any art night update as far as the ad hocs work?
Not for me. This has been a little bit on the back burner with other items that I've been working on, so I don't have much to add.
Thank you. We'll move on. The other programs, there's no ad hoc, so no update. And number 4 under arts advocacy, research and coordinate brief presentations. One just happened tonight, so that was great. And we are working on having some others. There's been a few invitations sent out. For number 5, arts education, the artist residency program.
I'm still moving forward with it, but there aren't any updates for
Great.
this.
Thank you. And for the community engagement program, we do have an attachment for that one about a partnership with the schools and Pacific View. And the idea behind this comes from a lot of the research that Commissioner Marakovitz has done. She and I met with the director of her program in Chula Vista. That was the inspiration for some of these ideas earlier in the year. And again, I think the idea is not necessarily for the commission to always be coming up with new programming, because we know there's so much work already being done by staff and in the cultural arts overall. Nonetheless, I think to take full advantage iteratively of the Pacific View Art Center and to get it on the radar and on the map is the idea here. So I think our recommendation to City Council with this program is just to say, hey, we really think that there's a great opportunity here. Here are some ways forward to investigate that opportunity, and next year would be a good time to investigate that opportunity. So to mitigate a feeling that there's going to be that it's too much. So did everybody have a chance to review that letter and review that proposed program?
Can I just say a couple things about that? It's important. I like that it's mentioned about Prop 28. In public education, and school districts get 20. They can use their 20% for various means, such as training or PDs, or for external educational supports. So that would be a great way for them to do that, but that would be under their decision to do that. I just think that there would be a great way to populate the center during the day, the school hours, to get the young people there, and it might be an advantageous, that must be my word of the day, not just locally, but maybe in surrounding schools and districts, getting the word out about PVAC in this region, in this county,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really inspired idea. I just want to clarify, so what is our action or proposed action on this tonight?
The proposed
hope to-
action, again, no motion has been put forth, but it would be to send this letter to City Council and include the attachment, the PDF attachment of the program overview,
Okay.
and that's basically it.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any more discussion, or is that a motion that someone would like to make? Or not make?
I can make the motion. So Motion to vote on sending the letter with the attachment to City Council.
I'll second that.
The motion would be to send the letter, yeah, with the attachment.
Let the record show that the motion passes unanimously with all commissioners voting yes.
Thank you. Okay. So we will move on to arts education number 6, sharing with potential teaching artists. Again, I just think it's so awesome what's going on at Pacific View. So much work is being done, so many incredible instructors. I think the word's getting out and people are feeling really great about it. We'll hear more, I think, during the reports tonight from staff. But I don't have any, is there any update on that one from an ad hoc?
No, I don't believe there have been any proposals to review.
Okay. So moving on to number 7, public art. And we went through, so for Pacific View Art Center, nothing new there. Sculpture loan program, we just went through. I don't think anything new on Olympus Park, unless that would be a surprise.
No, yeah, that's the one that we would need to find funding for, and that hasn't materialized quite yet. So.
Okay. So we will move on to artwork donations and discuss the mural. So I went ahead and just put this overview together from last meeting and how we came to make our recommendation to accept this mural for a limited time. And I'm a little embarrassed. I actually don't have the actual motion with me. I grabbed my wrong notebook. Does anyone have the actual motion that was voted upon? You have it. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was right here.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this off, and then we have received again public input from the survey, and we can open it up to discussion even further. Again, I added an attachment just to kind of go through some major points about how we came to our decision. That is not a necessarily complete document. If anyone has more to add, I just thought it would be helpful as far as aiding our discussion or just kind of refreshing before the meeting. So the action, Commissioner Romer moved approval to accept the donation of public art mural by J. Bell, Campagna Studios, with the recommended conditions that it would be a temporary installation period of 3 years at Pacific View Art Center, and that a no vote would mean that the ad hoc committee would review concerns raised by the discussion, and the Art Commission could return with a revised proposal next month. And what was I going to say? The only other point to add, just to get on public record, is that if we hadn't put the recommendation forward, the mural would have never gone out for public survey or public input. And so just having accepted it thus far, I think has been additive and a service to the community. So let me... sorry. Okay. Yeah. 2 of the members of the ad hoc are here, so why don't I hand it over to you and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think it is important that, as we stated in the motion, it is accepted as a temporary loan, I guess, or a temporary work of art. If that is not possible for it to be temporary, I think we might have voted differently. So that's a very integral part in the suggestion to accept, is that it is temporary and will be taken down after 3 years. My hope is that in that time we can have a mural program and have other artists submit. But I want to keep that separate for now, but make sure that it is understood that the mural, it will be, or that our recommendation is that it will be accepted as a temporary piece.
Yes, and I would just like to say that I agree, and based on the public response and the process that's in place, I would still make the same recommendation, and just to provide this information, to the city council for a final decision.
I think that I'm voting against, if there's any way for me to, this mural, because I can't tell if it's computer glitches that make it not balanced and look so amateurish, and so I feel like it's not centered, and technically it's got some issues. And then as a second point, after reading the public comments and remembering the last meeting, that the art itself was part of a logo for Be Strong, Se Fuerte, which I think is a contradiction, that it shouldn't be used for a public space.
I have a question. I've had a question all month about that. I was thinking whole month, right? With when you read the conditions, and I reviewed the video, and I was analyzing that. When you said a no vote, so did that mean individually or collectively?
I think if you voted no, you were voting no, and that's what would happen. But it was a overall yes vote, so that didn't happen. So if it had not passed, then that's what it would have.
So that's what that meant. A no vote collectively.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I feel uncomfortable about it. Simply, I mentioned about this in the last time. It was about the process involved, and I'm just kind of confused about with the sculpture loan, and then we have the mural loan, and
Just a point of clarification there. We have a sculpture loan program, and then we have artwork donations that anybody can make a donation to the city, and then it comes through this process to be decided upon if the donation is accepted or not accepted. Generally, donations are for part of the permanent collection. And so because it's a mural, it's a little, it's not a piece that can be stored if not shown at its first location. It's a little different. Mm-hmm. But there is no mural program in existence in Encinitas City. I think that's a big point. I was reading a lot of the comments, and this idea of this, the idea that something could be better is really important, but that you could chase something that doesn't exist versus making a decision about something that does exist is, it's just different ways of looking at things. So, again, this has come to our attention. The donation, we did make a vote on it, and then we've received this public input. And the public input, as far as the survey, again, is positive. There's 57% of people said yes, they wanted it installed. 43%, 42.95 said no, they didn't recommend it installed. But that, it's kind of a 60-40 split. That's not insignificant. And a lot of people responded to that survey. Even in the public comments, again, comments are a tricky one because not everyone leaves a comment. And so there's lots of people who said yes and didn't leave a comment. And generally people, yeah. So I think you have to weigh that, qualitatively. Nonetheless, I did go ahead and compute the numbers, and out of 8, so there were 156 responses. There were 84 comments. I went and just kind of said positive, negative comments, and then I sorted out other kinds of comments that were like, we think a loan sculpture program should exist, or anything that wasn't like, love this sculpture, hate this sculpture, excuse my language. And of those, there were 23 positive comments and 36 negative comments. So that's like a 40-60 split that way, but of a much smaller percentage of the people who did respond. So I think that's my takeaway, is that from this particular survey, the public comments are a yes. If you're gonna,
I just wanted to comment on the comments. I just want to say, just looking at the numbers, and the last time that I was at the city council meeting, and it was mentioned about methodology and things like that. And I have a degree in curriculum instruction, so that's the lens that I think about. I think about evaluation processes and things like that. That's how my brain works. Besides musically and everything, but looking at that like numerical value of 57, we're basing that's kind of like 100%. So that's just barely over half for a positive response. So that makes me a little uncomfortable, recommending something that's just barely over 50%, and the rest is nearly 43. So it's just like makes me. That's how I feel about it.
I think the important thing to remember is that we've already voted on this. We've already made a recommendation, and this is just more information coming to us. Mm-hmm. And is that amount of information that's coming to us enough to make us say, well, let's reconsider this? Maybe this isn't the best representation of what the community wants, or it isn't. Again, in the points that I made, all due respect to the artist, and we're lucky to have a donation, it wasn't necessarily about the image for us when we made the decision. I think the decision was based more on, it's a positive image, it has some good feelings, and it's something that can kick off another kind of public program and get people thinking about murals in the city, and go from there, and kind of have a place to begin. So I agree that process is so important, and I think at the point that we are making these decisions now, we inherit a process that it's just what we've been given, and so we have to work with what we've been given until we change it.
Just to ping off what Carla said, because I don't think the wording, unless this was, and maybe I'm not recalling the actual question that was asked, but I'm not sure it includes, I don't know if people were being asked based on, as you said, this being a temporary placement, because it feels as though, I don't know, maybe that would have, if people who were on the fence or maybe weren't crazy about the piece thought that it was kind of going to be there in perpetuity, that's a different vote or a different opinion expressed than if, okay, it's going to be there 2 years, get to see how it looks in the environment. If it feels as though it's not a good fit at that point, it's not going to necessarily be there forever. So I do think that's worth taking into account and may not be expressed in these numbers. So.
Yes, that is correct. It was not expressed in the survey.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a link to our meeting in the survey, and so the information was there for anyone who wanted to dig, but it wasn't straightforward as far as, again, that was our recommendation to council. Again, I think a donation comes in as it's going to be part of the permanent collection, so I don't know how that works when the staff is putting out the survey. But yeah, I agree. I mean, that this isn't necessarily reflective of if people knew it was just going to be there for less time, if that is what council decides to do.
I think since we did a majority vote here, we did a public response, which is also a majority voting yes. To me, that's enough to say council should at least consider it and make their decision based on that.
I concur. Should we just go down the line, kind of say if you agree or don't agree with that statement?
Repeat the statement, please.
I think Robin is suggesting we leave it as it is and we move on.
I agree.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed.
Leaving it as it is with the caveat of the temporary? Okay, definitely temporary.
Disagree.
Okay, I agree. So I'm going to say we move on with all due respect. And as I say,
Yeah,
think disagreement is awesome up here, honestly.
Yeah, we have to keep going. So let's keep going.
So we will move on. Okay, so moving on, let's see. I'm going to make a motion to extend the time of the meeting just in case we need to. I don't necessarily think that we will, but then we'll do it and we won't be thinking about it.
I'll second.
Okay, so I'll motion to extend for 30 minutes to 7:30.
I'll second.
The motion to extend the meeting to 7:30 passes unanimously with all commissioners voting yes.
Thank you. Alrighty. So moving on to number 8, performing arts. Research free and low cost community engagement program possibilities that use the Steinway DPNO at the community center. And we do have an attachment for that one.
Yes. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling on my list here.
Everybody is.
So, yes, in the past, I've presented to staff, presented to the commission. The last time I read a letter that I had, but this time I've created it for the commission to read. There it is. Okay, so I was wondering if everyone had a chance to look over it. Just honoring the work plan says low cost and free, but I was thinking that's great. But if we can add like a really high standard with mentorship, and as my day job is a music educator, and I feel that this would be very beneficial in our city to support a very high quality music education experience. We have a lot of artists who are coming here all the time. And I think that it'd be a great idea to have aspiring artists to be able to work with master artists. So that's the idea of mentorship. And so I wanted to propose this, something that the city could possibly develop, spin off of this, or develop it, and also get the piano more played more often.
Great. Are there any questions or discussion points?
Just one. I think this all looks good. I think it's a great idea. The only thing I might amend in the proposal would just be the non-refundable registration fee, just to say maybe that there could be either a fee waiver or a scholarship for those that might qualify.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Thanks.
Thank you. So with that, if this were to be, maybe if I did like a little adaptation under the fees, then would it be acceptable to pass on?
I think so. I guess we have to put it to a vote, correct?
Do you want to go ahead and make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve this to be sent to the city council with the amendment of a scholarship for the fees.
Can I second that? Okay.
Let the record show that the motion passes unanimously with all commissioners voting yes.
No matter what happens tomorrow for same council, different council, we are definitely loading them up and letting ourselves be introducing ourselves here.
That's terrific.
There we go. All right. So moving on to number 9.
Yes, I'm sorry. Piano Concerto competition update. There were some things that were discussed with the city about a by manner format, unaccompanied. Last season, the candidates performed at the live competition unaccompanied, so that wording was expressed on the website. Also, the rubric was included, which is helpful for teachers and students to refer to. And other kind of secretarial things I'm doing on that is organizing my list a little better for contacting people and getting the word out and using social media.
Fantastic. Yeah, super exciting. And we will move on to visual art. And for planning and implementation of Art Night, there is no ad hoc. I'm sure we will get a report, an update during the report. So we'll move on to number 11. The ad hoc will serve on the visual art selection panel. That did occur, and I was part of the jury, as was Commissioner Romer, and Commissioner Campbell as well. And I just want to put a big shout out to staff. I was on this same jury last year, and we all met online, and there were awesome artists and work, but it was possible to go through all that work in 2 hours online in a forum. And this time, I saw it, I opened it up, and, it was 700 pages to go through. Wow. And so I know Lou is has put it out to her connections in Oceanside and Museum, and it's just really, I was a terrible juror. I actually sent in like an incomplete jury form first, and I'm doing a terrible example. But I got it to the place where I went through all the criteria. I said, yes, all of these ones hit the highest marks for all of these criteria. And how do I whittle it down to just 10 from here? So it was a very cool, I won't tell you how I did whittle it down. So that was very exciting, and I just think it's neat to see that happening with all of the amazing places that we are able to showcase art, and to know that there's so much good art and artists who are excited to show here as well, and that it's actually very very competitive. So my hat's off. And I'm sure we'll get an update further during staff report too. Did either of you or anyone else want to make a comment about that? No? Okay. So moving on to ad hoc 12, assisting city staff and Encinitas Student Advisory Panel with student art exhibitions at City Hall. Is there an update for that?
Well, actually, yes. What do you know? Well, I was just wondering maybe if staff could clarify if that, is that okay to ask?
What's the question?
About number 12. Has the date changed or something, or?
We have a couple of applicants who have expressed an interest and are considering pushing the date back. So it's a bit in limbo at the moment. We have been invited to go speak to the Youth Commission. There's some additional interest. Once we know who might be part of that, then we can reach out to the ad hoc and see if they're interested in having a meeting.
Okay, and if there's anything the ad hoc could do to support that, just let us know.
Thank you.
Okay, great. We'll move on to 13, the bylaws. This is one we really wanted to get an attachment again for you guys to see, and it was really hard to figure out our schedules, and we did it just online. And anyway, the long and short of it is that we've made some progress. We have a whole slew of topics that it was too much work to narrow it down just to be able to give something that was so visible here. And we're working on it and looking forward. Yeah, Dave?
So I'm honored to be here tonight. Thank you. I've been director now for just over 6 months. It's been a great 6 months. Working with the 4 commissions that are part of Park, Recreation, and Cultural Arts has been fantastic. Big crowd tonight was great. Each of the 4 commissions, Youth Commission, Senior Commission, Commission for the Arts, and the Park and Recreation, are working through bylaws. For those that attended the workshop earlier in the year, it was trying to create a set of rules for each commission so that we would know those rules, so we would know the direction. I know we've had some questions in this commission over the last couple of months trying to find that path. So appreciate all the work by the ad hoc committee, but I have more direction to share tonight. So give credit to the senior commission. They've put their draft ahead for, they were first to present. And that went to city council and some of the admin staff, and we've gotten direction back, which is good to share at this point. The bylaws from each of the groups will be pretty much combined to be one set of bylaws, and that is because the direction for bylaws has been made clearer, and that it's specifically for those rules, policies, procedures of the commission, not as much as the stuff left and right, how to say it, kind of the softer things that are specific for any commission. Senior commission had some things that they wanted to do in regards to incoming board members to be part of that process. That's not part of the rules for commissions. So in short, you can go back, and maybe this helps, is look at it and where do you want to go. Some of the focus, is it about the rules for having a meeting or leading to a meeting? That's what the focus is. You can have more because it's discussion. I mean, what's completed here and goes forward will be reviewed with City Council as part of that. And like I said, we'll work them all back together. The mission statement will kind of separate each of the commissions out. So that statement will have some power. And then we will move forward. It's nice to see all 4 commissions on their work plan and heading toward a path to complete this year.
So just to clarify, we use the same rules like to conduct a meeting as City Council, and so that's a document that exists. And so the bylaws are the rules about how it's formed, who is on it, like all of those kind of bullet points that would remain the same between all for every commission.
Right.
So the work that we have been doing, we may need to. I'm just surprised, like we're each supposed to come up with our own rules about how we want to function that is different than the ordinance. So we're going to submit a draft, and then who is going to compile the 4 into just one?
So review by City Council, and then Park and Recreation, Cultural Arts staff. And then it'll come back here. It's not ours to take away. But I would also say the ad hoc committee is welcome to send that to us or include us in a meeting, and we can go through some of those questions in areas that are inappropriate or more appropriate to work on.
Okay, great. And the setting of inappropriate or appropriate, that comes down from council's review of the senior commission's bylaw draft?
No, it comes down to the legality of bylaws for commissions in this city. Some of it is that document you talk about, C003, for city council meetings, and then the direction based off of that. So I mean, this is a process. It always has been. So getting one to county council was a good first step, but that also can now help the other 3 also.
Sounds good. Thank you for that update.
Can we share at least, some of the bullet points that we've been looking at?
I don't think it's necessary. Given this update, my feeling is that the ad hoc should meet. We should meet with staff, kind of throw out or put somewhere else some of the work that we have done that will not be included with bylaws, and then go from there. I don't think getting too deep into it tonight is, before we know what's what, is it feels like unpacking too much before cleaning something up. It's like weird to hear my voice without a microphone. So, just after an hour and a half. All right. So we'll move on to, I think that concludes the Commission for the Arts annual work plan items. We'll move on to 8C, the holiday parade participation. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, so I think as I said last time that we had a vehicle lined up, and I spoke a little too soon because I found out that the person will not be here to provide it. So I'm doing some scrambling. I talked to the person 2 years ago who we worked with from Cardiff Classics, and he's willing to, Tom is his name, and he's willing to provide a vehicle. They have some cool cars, but he doesn't know what convertible will be available yet. So I'm just going to this week put in the application, and going to have to finesse it a little bit, but we will be in the parade. But what we will be in is uncertain at this point exactly. We had this Woody last year, but that's going to be in the part of the Woody Club. So, but in any case, I'll make sure to get that in, and I think just put in some boilerplate wording thanking Cardiff Classics and we can, hopefully tweak that at some point. I know that Nicole, who's from the city, who's handling this, wanted everything in early, but hopefully we'll have a little bit of wiggle room. And, always welcome anybody else's participation. There's a whole like decorating side to it and all that stuff. So, but yeah.
So is there an order in for the banners? How many?
Maybe Colette can speak to the timing of that, because I think it comes a little later.
It comes a little later, and Nicole, who is coordinating all of the parade things, will reach out and generate that banner. It's pretty generic.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some nice ones, as we talked about last year, promoting the competition and Pacific View. So we can definitely take recommendations for what we want to promote this time around. But obviously, we'll have an Arts Commission banner at the very least. So.
Yeah, I think we should definitely promote Pacific View. That's a great parade that so many people come to, and it's like, get that out there.
Yeah, keep reminding people, and
As big and as many as possible. Let's throw flyers just saying, come to Pacific View, or whatever it is. Someone else can come up with the language, but just,
Yeah, and, no reason not to. If we want to promote the piano competition again, we can entertain doing that.
Yeah,
well.
if there could be maybe a small banner of some kind.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. Thanks for working on that. I know it's stressful to find a car. We've gone through that.
So close.
Yeah. So for 9B, 9 informational items, 9A, Cultural Arts Division report.
Good evening. For Pacific View, staff is working on new preparations for the coming year when hours change. On every one of the 5 days, it'll be open until 5 p.m. starting on January 2nd. And then starting on January 27th, Thursdays will be open until 8 p.m. So some new customer service staff has been added, additional contract instructors, all of that work is still going. That group of classes includes Spring Break Camp, which is last week of March, first week of April, and registration will open for that on December 2nd. And coming right on the heels of that and already working on is plans for summer camp, because that guide will come out late February with registration opening on March 3rd for all the early birds. And then there will also be a summer guide. I'm planning to do a photo shoot of the site this week and capture its beauty. The landscaping has come in really nice, and it's in good shape. Art Night is November 16th coming up. We could use volunteers. Always appreciate having the arts commissioners there to help out. Nutcracker coming up after that. Exciting change with that this year is that instead of being in the gym and primarily all on one level, this performance is going to be at the San Diego Academy Theater. So the attendees are going to really have a nice view. I don't think there's a bad seat in the house. There will be 2 performances again on December 14th, one at 2 p.m. and one at 6 p.m., and tickets are available. Really kind of a fun thing, the city of Encinitas was selected to participate in a cohort with San Diego Art Matters, along with 9 other municipalities. And it's a grant from the Prebys Foundation to launch the local arts agency Learning Network. And it's a year-long capacity building and training program that is got a lot of potential. And I don't have a lot of details about it other than to tell you that it's a very exciting opportunity to participate in this with our municipal peers and discuss capacity building. So that'll be a regular item on my report back to you as I learn more. In December is our first meeting to just talk about planning for 2025. And then in 2025, there will be a monthly meeting, and that's where a lot more information will come out of it. It is budget season, so that will be a big item that we are all working on. Visual art, thank you so much for the work that the ad hoc did. It was such a big job, and we appreciate the time that it took. Now, the work of going back and taking that information, seeing how the ranking of the jurors matches with availability of the artists and whether the availability that they shared on their initial application still aligns with their availability. So that in the last, and I expect it's probably going to take about another week just in terms of reaching out and connecting with the artists to get that schedule set. So it's not available yet because we have not been able to get all those things confirmed. And then the student art, as I shared earlier, we're going to be continuing to work on that, and hopeful that we will be able to have 2 student exhibitions, but understanding that if that doesn't work, we may have to just have one this first year and continue to move forward. Any questions?
Nope. Dave.
I can't pass up this opportunity. So Colette, you probably all noticed from working together how hard she works for arts in this city. The San Diego, or not the cohort for art, is an amazing opportunity that she grabbed. This is Colette taking this opportunity. There was another city that was in the running for this. She had conversations with the group, and when that city dropped out, it was back to us. And it was the person standing at my door with the paperwork is, you got to decide today. Either we're signing this and we're getting in, and it has this amazing opportunity to help arts overall and many things that we're doing in arts, trying to get in the cultural arts. What am I missing the word? Becoming a good cultural district. This is a very strong tool for us. But she's not gonna brag about what she's pulled out, but this is one of the things that Colette does. It's amazing. She looks for these opportunities to get us a little bit more, and I just wanted to say thanks and share that with you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, you sharing that and the shout out, and just hearing about that. It sounds. I'm really curious to hear more, and I think it's an amazing opportunity and awesome that you made it happen.
And I should mention that Commissioner Romer will be working on that project with me as well.
Nice work.
Yep. Everyone is lucky all around here. Yeah, super exciting and very really interesting to hear what the broader picture looks like. Okay, so we will move on. We already hit 10A, and are there any?
I'll just go back to 9B.
We didn't
hit that one. No, that's okay. Just pointing out our Wednesday at noon concerts continue to be incredibly popular, and I want to take every opportunity to point out they are free. This concert series really runs itself. We're blessed with so many talented musicians who want to perform, and the audiences who are so excited to be there. Fire Marshal allows us to have 170 people seated. Doors open at 11:30, and when it's full, it is full. So I strongly encourage everyone to come early. And then Art Night we covered.
Thank you. And now we will move on to, I don't believe there's any other commissioner member initiated items. There is. Yes, there is. I'm so sorry. I didn't have a coffee before I came here, so I could sleep tonight, but it's paying off.
Well, it's not on there. Well, this is the first time I'm trying this, so I don't know if I'm doing this right. Part of me, I kind of wrote out, because I tend to stutter. So for this item, 11, it's 11, right?
I wasn't on 11 yet, but we can move
sorry.
there. That's okay. We can. So there are no other commission member initiated agenda items, but now we'll move on to 11. Are there any future agenda items
I'm so sorry. Okay, let me give this a stab. So again, I haven't tried this, so I don't know if I'm doing this right, but I want to say I wanted to make a recommendation at this meeting to seek commission consensus for a future commission meeting with the purpose of requesting the direction of the city council for the commission to review the 2005 public art policy. So in other words, this would mean adding it to the agenda next time, whereby the commission could outline points of reason for recommendation to council, seeking direction from council, a review process as a goal for next year's work plan cycle. So to be clear, the commission will not review it until given direction from council to do so. So the commission added agenda item is to draft a recommendation to be able to open the policy for discussion at a future time. And a brief why about this is that because policy is an already published legal document, and it would require council's direction to be able to open the document up for discussion, and you need to allow time for public opinion and for the public to weigh in and give analysis of this. So, is that clear?
So is it kind of an invitation for the city council to, or a request to the city council to revisit the 2005 policy and with mind toward revising it?
Yes, so without talking about it or discussing about it, because we can't, it's about for the next time, to add it to the agenda, and to be able to, as a commission, draw up reasons for recommendation to council, to seeking direction from council, to review as a goal for next year's work plan cycle. And with that, then that could open up to be able to maybe expand upon it, to develop it. And I just wanted to throw it out there because it's written in 2005.
I have a question, but I think I know the answer. So is it correct that you cannot tell us or give us an idea of what you're interested in changing? Okay, so just to clarify, you are suggesting that we ask City Council to allow us to put it on the agenda for later so that we can discuss this? So that we can discuss the possibility of rewriting? No, I misunderstood that.
We can choose to put something on the agenda in this way if we have consensus as far as talking about something at our next meeting. I think the ask here is to have council direct us that it become a work plan item, perhaps.
Yeah, looking
and
starting to look ahead, like for next.
I think it's great to be looking ahead. I think, given the fact that we are sending 3 letters to council, given the fact that potentially next meeting we are going to present to the commission a lot about the public loan sculpture, which includes a big piece of community input as far as public art is concerned. I don't think this is the time for it. And I want to do a little bit more homework myself about that kind of ask for council. I feel like it's good as last year for next year's work plan, we'll have time to discuss and brainstorm together what we want to keep, what we don't, what we potentially want to add, and if there are items that need something more information known, then we can discuss with them. But that's what I think.
I'm still confused. So if we moved forward what would happen is that we would put on our agenda for our next meeting that we discuss amongst ourselves the possibility, or just discuss the public art plan. Is that right?
Let's have Colette pipe in here.
So the commission, your work is your work plan. And the work that you do is at the direction of City Council. So it's projects that the Cultural Arts Division is working on, and on occasion when you are given direction in addition to, such as the work that was directed in April to work on modifying and making recommendations for the sculpture loan program. When the commission would like to work on something additional, and to Katie's point, you have some letters that are going out, you are seeking direction about whether these are things that you are requesting. So similarly, to request to have something put on, so when I say to work on something, to discuss the merits of it is working on it. You have prepping for your next work plan is one of your items, but you're a little early for starting to work on that. It is at your discretion when you would like to start working on that, but given the other workload, it doesn't generally start in November or December. It usually starts in January. So just to clarify and answer your question, it's in order to start doing any work, such as discussions of merits, you need to have been given direction from council. So that's your work plan being approved, or one of these letters goes out and then you get this direction back saying, we've read this, here's your direction for where to go next. So there seem to me to be two paths with this. One is as a commissioner-initiated agenda item, to send a letter requesting that the commission give direction to review the public art policy. The other option, and given where we are in proximity to that timing, would be, if that is something that the commission wanted to consider, then you would consider that as a potential future work plan item. With the amount of time everything takes, the trajectory for the two are hitting basically the same point on a calendar for when the commission would be able to start working on them.
And I'd like to add that we have elections tomorrow, and so bringing something in a December meeting when we have new council, potentially a new mayor, would be poor timing before January.
Just to clarify, again, like Jim brought the theater pad as a commissioner-initiated item, and so that's a way that we can bring things that are not on our work plan into discussion.
Yes, but the action in that work plan item was the letter. So you can discuss that you want to send the letter. That's the action, but it's a really fine line. You need to make sure that the purpose is you're drafting the letter. We're asking for direction on the ability to add this item, to take this action. So permission isn't the right word. You're looking for that. You want their direction to do the thing.
So I would say, Jennifer, again, because depending on if the commission for the public loan sculpture refresh, the ad hoc will present, again, most likely in December, to the full commission, and that includes a lot of vigorous discussion about public art. That's something that then we will hopefully vote to present to council, and then during that presentation, that will be a topic of discussion. It seems after that's happened and we've heard from council what they think about lots of different aspects, then it might be a really great time to bring forth, hey, you can see all the work we've done with this, and the public art policy is a big piece of this. We would like direction about potentially having it on our work plan next year, and then I think that makes a lot of sense then.
Okay. It's just that, as we all know, we can't talk about it until you get council's feedback about to do so or do something with it.
Well, I mean, the public art policy was part of our agenda tonight. It was an attachment for the public loan program. So we're able to speak to it. I mean, it's an attachment we all saw, and we can't right now in the meeting, but.
Well, with any kind of thing that you want to add, you have to give the public enough time to be able to weigh in, and that's why you give advance notice, something like that.
I understand.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's certainly merit to that idea of, this document being almost 20 years old. But it does feel as though the timing, there's just a lot that we are sending out, and even waiting maybe a month or two might behoove us, That's not at all to say that it's not something we should do, but.
Can we maybe just delay and revisit this agenda item in December, kind of see where we're at with some of these other topics, and then maybe it would be appropriate to add it to the agenda for January?
Okay, so basically I would, if the opportunity is appropriate, just kind of bring it up again, I guess.
Can we vote now to add it to the agenda in January?
So to
It could be for-
clarify, I'm just going to give a little bit of information. So under item 10, those are commissioner-initiated agenda items, and those are prepared completely by the commissioners. It's an item you want to bring forward. You'd like a letter or whatever those things might be. Under 11, those are items that you need the consensus of 2 or more commissioners in order for it to come forward. And those are things generally because you need some information from staff. So 11 gets prepared by staff, and this does not seem to fit that because as I understand it, you're not seeking information. So for example, under item 11, before the Pacific View reports on renovations was a regular agenda item, it came through here. So it was the commission saying, this is something we would like to have, and we need help from staff because we don't know what the updates are. We would like you to bring this back to us at every meeting. So that's just an example of, not exhaustive example, but a recent example.
It does seem more appropriate to number 10, that if you want to put it on if we all agree, yeah, this would be a cool thing to talk about in our January meeting, that in December, you would fill out the template, get it to Colette, in the first 2 weeks of December, and then it could be added to the agenda through that process.
It can be. It can also be considered under your work plan as you start to discuss future work plan items. Those are, like I was saying, there's 2 ways to go about it. And given where we are in the calendar relative to when you're going to be making some decisions about what you put forward in your draft for City Council to approve as your next work plan, I don't know that you're going to get any sooner response than if you put it on next year's work plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to point that out in case the commission views that as a time savings or an efficiency in terms of your current workload,
Right.
and how you want to go about doing that.
Appreciated. And is there anything I'm missing as far as this ask of City Council to direct us to put it? That's what I'm not quite understanding, because we do have, as stated, we do have the opportunity to discuss what we want to put on our work plan, and it could be discussed then. So I just feel I'm missing some
thing
piece
is,
that I'm not getting.
How do you make a work plan is a set of goals. So how do you make a discussion of it into a goal? An objective,
Well, you can discuss
objective goal.
You can discuss putting something on a work plan, and that can include a discussion of the thing.
You would be putting forward what would be the goal of, and it would seem like it would be whatever the goal you are hoping to accomplish in the one would be, I'm assuming, as I understand it, would be the same goal. You have an objective. This is sparking your interest with the intention of accomplishing an outcome.
That would be an opportunity to also elicit feedback and to get public input, to be able to look at something like that and to analyze it or tear it apart.
So there again, whatever your goal under the one could be listed as the goal under the other, because the work, she's absolutely correct, everything does have a goal. You're putting forth what as a commission you plan to accomplish.
Just like so many of our work plan items, and our goal can be to research and make a recommendation or research and give a report to council on, say, the public art policy. That would be a goal. Is that not what you're?
It's fine to, I hear all the feedback. I appreciate that. And with the timing, the time of year it is, the conditions and everything like that. So that's fine to postpone this or just kind of digest it a little bit.
I don't still feel totally clear on it, but considering that, then we will return to it. Okay. Sounds good. Okay, so moving on to commissioners' reports. Are there any shows you've been to or anything you want to? Does anyone have one? No.
Sure. Well, I've been a patron of PVAC, and I'll just say that I'm impressed, like looking through the catalog and looking at the very diverse things that are offered. There's a lot of things just are not typical, and that's great to have such variety. And I'm really, really happy with what I'm doing. It's been very edifying.
Fantastic. Did you have one? Yeah. No? Okay. Okay. So we will adjourn the meeting tonight at 7:07.